Okay, good afternoon. I am going to be going over the tables that we weren't able to cover in class. We'll be having a quiz over this next week. We won't, if you guys are watching this tonight, which is February 10th, we were planned to have a quiz on the 11th. But we won't be having a quiz on the 11th because I didn't get this video up in time, and I want to give you the chance to to watch this and go over it and ask questions if you need to before I give you a quiz. Okay, so I'm on page 67 of our grammar and context book. So if you want to follow along with with me on there, I'm going to stop in between each one of um, these slides, and I'm going to encourage you to go through and complete some of the exercises in between. The other thing you might want to do right now is go to Blackboard, and under the grammar folder in course documents for lesson 2, you'll find the answers to all the questions in the book for lesson 2. So you can pull that up, and that way, after you've done your assignments, you can check the answers, and then you can bring any questions that you have to class or stop by my office hours to ask them. Okay, so starting off with the future tense. So far what we've talked about is we've talked about the present tense and the present continuous tense. And now what we're doing is we're moving on to talking about into the future. So as the future tense indicates, the future, the use of the future is to talk about something that is going to happen that hasn't happened already. So it's not happening right now, it didn't happen in the past, but it will, or it's going to happen in the future. So in English, there's two forms of the future tense, and we'll talk about how those two forms are different. But first, let's start off with just how those forms are made. So we'll start first with will. And the way that we use will is we use will plus the simple form of the verb. Now, by simple form, what I mean is the verb without any endings on it. So move, not moves, not moving, not moved, but the simple form of the verb without anything on it, without any changes to it. When we are using a frequency word, what we'll do is we'll put the frequency word between will and the verb. Okay, between will and the verb. So even with the verb to be, where normally we put always after the verb to be, or a frequency word after the verb to be, it's going to come in the middle. So if I were to say, I will always be your friend, the always is still going to come between the will and the simple form of the verb. The other thing that we want to know about will is that it can be contracted with all of the different pronouns. So over here we have I will becomes I'll, you will becomes you'll, he will becomes he'll, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Okay, and definitely in speaking, this is the more common contraction that you'll have. In writing, I'll is very common. He'll, she'll, it'll, will are common. I'd say they'll and you'll are probably a little bit less common in writing. The fourth thing we want to talk about is with using negatives. So when we're using will with a negative, we have two options. We can put the negative again between the will and the main and the simple form of the verb. Or if we want to make a contraction, we can just make the contraction. And the contraction for will not is won't. The fifth thing we want to talk about is with questions. Now, will is a helping verb, and we know that in questions, the helping verb is going to move to the front of the sentence. So because will is the helping verb, it's going to be the one that moves. So we put will here in the beginning with this yes-no question. Will she live with her son? or when we have a WH word or a question word, that's going to come first, and then the helping verb will is second. So when will she live with her daughter? Okay? So at this point, if you want to pause and review your answers to exercises 14 and 15, go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and continue on. All right, so the next way that we can express the future tense is by using be going to. So be going to is formed by using a form of the verb to be plus going to and then the simple form of the verb. Again, we want to notice that we're using the simple form with both will and be going to. So we'll say here, people are going to live longer. So we're saying are because people is plural. If we are using a frequency word, the frequency word is going to go between the verb to be and going to. So this is they are always going to need help. Okay. The contractions that we can make are with the verb to be. So these are the contractions we're familiar with pronouns. I'm, your, he's, she's, it's, were, and their. Okay. And then we can also have, also with the negative, we're going to put the not after the verb to be. So he is not going to retire. Okay. We can also contract it to isn't or aren't. So in this case, it would be he isn't going to retire, or he is not going to retire. If we're making a question, the verb to be is a helping verb, so it's going to get moved up to the helping verb position. And we'll say, are they going to sell soon? Or if we have a WH word or a question phrase, we can say, why are they going to sell? Okay, so that's the formulation for that one. And I would recommend that you go ahead and check your answers for 16 and 17 in the book, in lesson 2. All right. So now we want to talk about what's the difference between will and be going to. Why do we have two different forms here? Both will and be going to can both be used to make a prediction. In this case, they both mean the same thing. So it's going to rain tomorrow, it'll rain tomorrow, or it will rain tomorrow. Both of these are predictions about the future, and either form can be used. However, only be going to can be used when you're describing a prior plan. So he's going to go to a movie. By prior plan, what I mean is that before right now, when we're saying he is going to go, he already had a plan to go to the movies. Okay, so what we can't say in this situation is he will go to the movies. Okay, because there already is a prior plan. There's 3 situations where only will can be used. So when there is no prior plan, meaning that the decision is being made right at that instant, we don't use be going to, because be going to means that there is some kind of plan. So in this case, I'll decide what to do later, meaning that I don't have any plan. So, and I'll make that plan at some future time. Okay. The next one is for volunteering. Okay, and again, this is the idea that there's no prior plan. But when someone is asking you for help, when you volunteer to help, you don't say, I'm going to help you, because that means that you had a plan beforehand to help. But you just say, I will, or I'll help you. So in this case, I'll help you clear the dishes. So in this case, you're volunteering for something. The other time that only will can be used is for promises. Okay, when you're promising something in the future. So like, I'll always love you. In this case, you're promising to love the person. And we wouldn't say I am going to always love you, because that's a prior plan. That sounds like it is a prior plan, that you have a plan to always love you, love the person. Okay, so for promises, volunteering, and no prior plan, we have to use will. For a prior plan, we have to use be going to, and for a prediction, we can use both. So what I would recommend you doing now is doing exercise 19, and keep these facts in mind when you're choosing between will and be going to. All right, so the final table here is about time and if clauses. So time clauses are clauses with words like when or as soon as or after, okay? And if clauses are clauses or parts of a sentence that begin with if. Now, when we are talking about the future, we only use the future tense in the non-time clause, not in the if clause. In the time clause, what we'll use is we'll use the simple present tense. So let me explain. If we see this sentence here, when the children grow up, we will move back to the city. What we're talking about is sometime in the future. So our independent clause, we will move back to the city, is in the future tense. But what you'll notice is that the time or if clause is in the simple present. So it's when the children grow up, not when will the children grow up. We will move back to the city. In this clause, it has to be the simple present tense. The good thing about these time clauses, these time and if clauses, is that we can really use will or be going to in the main clause. Either one is fine. So we can say he will move back to a warm climate as soon as, he will move to a warm climate as soon as he retires. Or we can say he's going to move to a warm climate as soon as he retires. Now in both of these cases, this is future, and this is also future. Will move and is going to move are future. But in the time clause, we're having this simple present tense. Okay? So what I'd recommend that you do to check your understanding is exercises 20 and 22 and 23. Please, I know that this is a lot of information and we're just doing it this way because of time. So please be sure to check your answers to these and to come and ask any questions that you have about these time clauses.